All right. I want to tell you about this Vice article on female dating strategy. It's a site where women give ruthless dating advice. It's a hate movement. They're feminist who put out uh, their hatred, and the average woman actually likes it and joins up. And Vice has a problem with it. Vice itself is just as misandric. Their problem is that this female dating strategy is obvious about their misandry. That's what their problem is. Vice wants it all with a mask put on of saying, no, we really love you. Look at this site. A man's role is to be the pursuer. Yeah, see? That's all that equality women talk about all the time. Establish queen energy, queen's rule. Protect yourself from low value men. That's men without money, by the way. So that's what the site is about. On first scroll, the female dating strategy looks like any other straight women's self-help site. I thought it was a dating site. Anyway, and that's very depressing because it does look like any other women's dating site. Between its bright pink borders, you'll see a selection of empowering memes, bustling advice, forums, and articles, and getting over heartbreak. You'll see women don't owe you shit, which I disagree with. Relationships are give and take, remember? So if men are giving, then they deserve to take. So what they're really saying is the man has to give you everything and you give him nothing in return. The core message behind it all, men are brain dead and ash garbage, and they need to be ruthlessly evaluated before you form an emotional attachment. Actually, they're against formal emotional attachment. They are, because you'll see by the way they talk. And the men have already been evaluated. That's as brain dead and big ass garbage. And this is a dating site. So you can see the dating site is really to stop dating. Or let's say, to be more accurate, to keep dating and giving the man nothing and abusing the man. Thinking not all man is detrimental to your safety. More of that safety bullshit. Reasons one poster. Not all men are rapists. No, very few men are rapists. But if I gave you a pack of gummy bears and told you one was poisoned, when you treat each of them as potentially lethal, if someone gave me a pack of gummy bears and said one was poisoned, I wouldn't eat any of them, which proves that they're lying. Because if this is what they felt about men, their advice would be not to date men at all. But you see, the point is to use men and exploit them and then toss them when you're done. That's what they want. And they use these safety bullshit as an excuse. Female dating site has helped my self-confidence tremendously, says Kristen, who has been on FDS subscriber for 14 months. So she's been there for over a year. Was this woman a radical feminist? Probably not. Just the average woman. So this is what the average woman thinks of the average guy. She credits the subreddit, which encourages self-development over finding a man. Really? A dating site that tells you not to bother finding a man? For pushing her into therapy, business training, and helping her find a new job. My self-esteem has been nothing always, she tells Vice over Reddit PMs. But through FDS, I realized self-improvement should be my main priority. If that's the case, why go to a dating site? Right? Go to a self-improvement. I'll tell you why, because women don't want to deal with self-improvement. That would be saying there's something wrong with you. They go to a dating site to see how they can exploit men. And this is what it is too. The reason why they're trying to push her into a business training and help her find a new job is that women date up. So by helping her, what they're really doing is decreasing in the pool of men that have a chance to get with her. So it's not about the woman at all. It's always about attacking men. Celeste, another subscriber, agrees that FDS improved her confidence. There you go. Adding that is also been given her new perspective on dating. Yeah, a perspective men are shit and I should treat them like that. I'm taking I'm taking a break from dating for a while. But when I get back to it, I'll be vetting people much more thoroughly and cutting them off the first sign of disrespect. Disrespect means non-worship. It means that's what it means. So the man has to give everything and be your total pet and servant, and he gets nothing in return. According to the anonymous founders, you see, this tells you everything. If these women were doing something good, they'd want their faces and their names known. Fact, women are more like that than even men. So the fact they're anonymous tells you they're doing something terrible. FDS was created to counter misogyny and manosphere. That's a lie. These women would always create the site because they hate men. So this is them lying. I wanted to offer women practical advice on to deal with the growing hostility from the men's rights movement. Men's rights movement has nothing to do with this. While also building their self-esteem so they can thrive in an oppressively patriarchal society. So this is a feminist group, and they're man haters, and they're spreading the typical feminist lies. The manosphere has an army of men dedicated to creating new ways to exploit and abuse women. What they mean is they're low status men that are working to get with women. They might get with a woman. And their idea of men exploiting women is being low status and not paying for everything and being a nobody. And it has nothing to do with the manosphere. Pickup artists are not all part of the manosphere. So if they're going to call them pickup artists, just say it. But they say the manosphere because they want to demonize them. An FDS spokesperson tells Vice, we bring attention to women of various ways men are exploiting us, actively and passively, so we can avoid it. How are men passively exploiting women? I would say it's because they get in a relationship, and then the man does his half of the work. Then he sits his ass down and says, okay, your turn. That's passively. That's what they mean by exploitation. The site prides itself on brutal realism about men, which translates to simplified categorizing. Well, I'm sorry, Vice, but if you're looking for an aspect from a partner, then it is going to be simple. FDF believes there are only two types of unworthy men, known as low-value men, have little money, ambition, and manners. Manners just mean non-reverence, and ambition means he's going for status. Even if he can't get it, he's always working for it. The woman doesn't have to do any of these. So it's a completely unequal relationship, which is standard. And of course, you can categorize like that. For example, if you guys want a woman who's loving and respecting of you, then you've got two categories. You got the women who are loving and respectful and the ones that aren't. So, I mean, that's the way it works. They make you split the bill. This is low value men. In other words, they treat you like an equal. Reply late to your text messages. Yeah, they got a life beyond you, so they don't circle their whole lives around you. And propose park and drink dates rather than dinner. Why? Because they're cheap, and park dinner and drink dates are all about being with one another. Right? You love this guy. You're interested in him, right? But the dinner is him paying for your time, paying for your attention, you ladies. So all you guys who go on about, who'd want to pay a woman, who'd want to hire a prostitute, how's this any different? He's got a fake veneer. High value men, on the other hand, worship the ground you walk on. See, he's a lowly peasant to your queen, as well as being honest, loyal, and consistent. These are traits the women are not going to give to the men at all. They're not going to reciprocate these. That's the servants, thing. They also shell out paying for you to have proper dinner dates. You women love to eat, don't they? and your own housekeeper because he knows you're not a maid. This guy who's on his own, he's already being a maid. He's working for a living, then he comes home and cleans his own house or apartment. So if you don't want to be a maid, you hire her. You get your job. And you pay half of everything. The strategies for securing a high value man are thorough and extensive. Let's say, like the manosphere comes complete with its own language. Well, kind of. A lot of the things, language they use is stolen from the manosphere because these women have no creativity or imagination of their own. Anyway, pick-me-ishas are women who are desperate or who degrade themselves for men. When they say degrade, they mean the woman is willing to meet with a man on her level or get with a man she likes who doesn't have ambition or doesn't have a lot of wealth. This behavior can lead to Cockholm syndrome, where they end up defending the worst men beyond all logic and reason. When they mean the worst men, they said these low-value men who have no ambition and don't have a lot of money. They just actually want to hang with these guys. So that's what they mean. And they might actually be reciprocating something towards them. In order to level up from this state and achieve queen or dream girl, see, there's no equality, status, women have to build their own self-esteem and avoid scrotes. Scrotes are dickheads, otherwise known as most men. There you go. So this is, again, women are joining this and they believe it. This is how they feel about most men. They can do this in a number of ways. By the way, if these dickheads have high status, these women go for it. So even dickheads doesn't mean anything. They can also do this in a number of ways, including focusing on their career or having a few men in rotation, dating rotation. See what I mean? When women say men use them for sex, that's them projecting what they want to do to men onto men. I'll say that again. This dating site is to show how to use men, rinse them, and give them nothing. So in other words, make your own money so you're independent and have men be giving you free stuff all the time. The only thing the men get is this lie that you might have a chance of some kind of intimacy, and they're going to make it so they never get it. So all you guys who want to get into relationships, this is what you're getting. FDS has tactics on practically everything, including this is useless paragraph. Don't care about it. Women are warned off having sex in the first 3 months of courtship to avoid at all cost moving in with a boyfriend before marriage. So what if the women want sex though? What if she's sexually attracted to this guy? Well, this shows you again, these women are not about the women. They're about hating the men. They're about denying men something the men want. So they're willing to sacrifice what the women want to get at the men. It's a hate movement. And what can I say? A lot of these women come in and join this. And of course, marriage, a man has no rights in marriage. So why they want the marriage is because you deny them sex until they get marriage, and then the man is your servant boy, and you can keep denying them sex and intimacy. So the man's been lied to the whole time until he gets married, and then he can stop lying, but he still gets nothing. After all, for men, a living girlfriend is just like a video game. They're always shitting on video games, right? Because it's something girls usually aren't interested in. It's just like a video game achievement that unlocks a regular free sex. You guys know this is bull-faced lie. Any of you guys in a relationship know your sex isn't regular and it definitely isn't free. And half of your rent free off your rent. This is a lie too, because if you're living with a man, then his rent is also your rent. So all you're doing is paying your fair share. So what they're saying is, look, this guy might get something out of it, and you might have to be an equal to him. Why would they want to marry you after that? Because men are desperate and they deny reality. Men still have this idea that their marriage gives them some kind of right, that it's going to force the woman to keep up some kind of promise, even though they know historically it doesn't. Needless to say, the female dating strategy is divisive, and not just among men's rights activists. It has nothing to do with men's rights. They're doing it again. If Vice is writing this to smear the men's rights activists, many of their views come across as simplistic. Well, dating is simplistic. Like I said again, you want something from your partner, he or she either provides it or they don't. Strange, it's not strange. This is very standard. That's normal. And mean-spirited. They should swap that out with hateful. Women are told not to date any man with a mental illness, for example. That makes sense. Or anyone struggling with their finances. Why not? Men get with women who have terrible finances because they just want to be with the woman. So they're saying, they're telling guys outright they don't want to be with them. They just want the man to pay for everything. Matter of fact, men are stupid enough to get with women with debt and pay the woman's debt off out of the kindness of their own heart, and then they get screwed over. One-night stands are a no-no. Again, women do go on one-night stands. Women get horny and they want sex. So for them to say it's a no-no, what they're saying is they're denying women something in order to get at the men. So again, this dating site is not about women. It's about men. As are men with small penises. Really, I thought women didn't care about penis size. Guys, that's more of the gaslighting, the endless gaslighting the average guy gets from the average woman. And the trouble Vice has, again, with female dating strategy is they're telling what women actually think. Forced vasectomies are good. See, they hate your sexuality. They want to cut you up. By the way, if you guys really want to fight that, fight for the male version of the pill. And so your sexuality is under your control. But men have no solidarity, so forget that. But sex work and pornography are bad. Why are they bad? Because the men have an outlet besides wasting their life energy on chasing the average woman. They actually have an outlet. That's why those are bad. The moderators are also probably kink shamey, claiming that BDSM and polyamory are disrespectful and only ever explored for men's benefit, more lies, rather than because a woman might have a genuine interest herself. All lies. BDSM community is filled with women. They love it. They love it. And the reason why they can't shut it down, these feminists, is because the women want it. And this is more solipsism. These women say they're not interested in BDSM, therefore no woman can be. They speak for all women. And polyamory, again, it's not about the women. The women do gain something because we all know that women would rather share a high status man than be shackled to a single low status man for themselves. It's just that the polyamory here actually gives men, high status men at least, some choice. They give them options. They say, if you're a high status man with 3 or 4 girls after you, you have options. So again, they're willing to throw away what the girls can get out of it to make sure the guys get nothing. Remember, this is a black hole movement. The FDS is a black hole. It can only take away. It's totally negative. It adds nothing. They are extremely unforgiving when it comes to rule breaking. I enjoyed FDS at first because there was a lot of good advice about female empowerment, says Jess, 35 from Tennessee. After struggling with her self-esteem, she joined the subreddit to get her shit together. See, she loved what they had to say. However, she was swiftly banned when she contributed to a discussion about male sexual assault in another unrelated subreddit. Someone was alluding to the possibility that men couldn't be sexually assaulted. I replied saying that it was ridiculous. She remembers. And then the notification came through that I'd been banned from FDS automatically. Well, she's right about that, of course. But her real issue isn't so much of the terrible things that FDS said, but that she got banned. The ban was a shock. You see, women are always supposed to have other women's back no matter what they do. But it came at the right time. Jess admits she already began to feel skeptical about the FDS messaging. She was starting to get skeptical, right? But once you get banned, well, now it's the 180, which often ended up being contradictory and hypocritical. Well, I got some news for you. These feminists are just they speak for what women want. My experience is that men deal constantly with contradictory and hypocritical, hypocrisy from women anyway, in any dating. The average man hears about being, equal in the relationship, and he hears you should be trusting and trust me and be faithful. And it never pans out that way. Men are gaslight, way before, on a regular basis. I noticed a lot of drifting into sexism, she says. In one breath, it would be you don't need a man to take care of you. To don't give a man a second date if he doesn't pay for the first date. To me, it was confusing because you can't have it both ways. Sorry, but this woman is very lack awareness, because they say you don't need a man to take care of you. That's how they build up your esteem. And then they tell you don't give a man a second date if he doesn't pay for the first date, because they're telling you what you want to hear, that he's got to pay for everything. He's your little servant boy. Now she says she's strongly against FDS ludicrous and toxic views and dismisses it as a cesspit. See, once you got banned, now it's ludicrous and toxic. Before, she was just skeptical. You can love and respect yourself and demand honesty, integrity without taking it personally when a man expects the same. But these are just words. They're meaningless. Because women do expect that kind of hypocrisy from men. They want men to say, to come in and say, well, we're equals. This is a partnership. And then men pay for everything. If this woman didn't believe any of this, she would never get a man to pay for a dinner ever. But that's the standard modus operandi, and always has been worldwide. In addition to all this, despite vehement claims the site is free from all racism, homophobia, and bigotry, the official female dating strategy Twitter account has started to let slip some transphobia in recent weeks and is retweeting renowned TERFs like Julie Bindel. Yeah, they're all TERFs. Yeah. The FDS subreddit also specifies that only biological females are allowed to post. It says if you've got an XY, don't reply. Well, that's Vice's problem with that, with this group. You see, the TERFs, they're no different from the intersectional feminists. They hate men of all kinds, including the gays and the transsexual. However, so do the intersexual feminists. It's just that the intersexual feminists are willing to tolerate trans women and gay men as long as they're attack dogs to the majority of men, which are straight men. It's not that they don't like straight men more. It's just that straight men are the majority. So they say, yeah, we'll tolerate these minorities if they are attack the majority of men. And the TERFs are so bad they can't tolerate them at all. So it's just a fight between man haters, right? It's a struggle between the gender KKK and the gender Nazis. People have a strong reaction to us because we are challenging commonly accepted narratives about women's liberation empowerment looks like. Like the founders who add that they don't care about being disliked. Yeah, well, they're TERFs. TERFs don't care that they're disliked. They're honest about their misandry. And that's Vice's problem. They want to be dishonest about their misandry. They want to gaslight men. Relationship experts also seem unimpressed by the site. Wow, such harsh language. Unimpressed. So these women spew hatred, and the worst they are is unimpressed. Some FDS principles are well received well, of course, because they do speak for women and like the focus on independence and finding self-fulfillment before entering a relationship. But otherwise, it's all too generalizing. Again, there's nothing wrong with generalizing. You have to if you want something specific from your relationship and from your partner. Much of the FDS is similar to the advice of your BFF would give you if they were in an unhealthy relationship. New York-based relationship expert Susan Winter, yeah, but the underlying tone of FDS smacks of all men are like this. Well, Susan Winter, is she going to get with a man who is unambitious or doesn't have any money? He's broke? No, this Susan Winter, the relationship expert, is going to tell you the exact same thing. She's going to have the exact same categories for men. That's where I have concerns. I've known good men, kind, thoughtful, and devoted partners and husbands. I've been loved by good men and loved men, good men in return. Multiples? Really? I thought you guys were all about finding the man of your dreams. The inferral that most men are ass garbage, Winter says, presents a real issue. See, there's more of that weasel language, right? It's actually hateful and terrible. So why, but they say it's a real issue. What is the real issue? It's because these, FDS women are shouting their misandry from the mountaintop with a giant neon sign flashing, "We can't stand men. We hate you. We're going to use you." You see, but the only issue Vice and these people have with FDS is that these FDS women don't know how to put on a fake face to their misandry. That's it. Because they realize they can get more out of men if they lie to them and gaslight them. UK dating coach Kate Mansfield agrees while women are still suffering consequences of being sexualized into roles. Women choose these gender roles, by the way. That's why I said, like, these women are going for men who pay for everything and the women can sit home. And the patterns that are incredibly destructive to intimate relationships. Modern men are also confused, undermined, and suffering emotionally. The reason they are is because men aren't willing to deal with reality. It's only confusing if you're not willing to admit what relationships are all about. In other words, despite the vast differences in social experiences, women are treated well and men are treated like shit in society. That's true. Human beings of all genders, actually there's only two, still have the same individual need, which is to love and be loved, Mansfield says, for who they really are. Well, see, notice this? All of a sudden, we can generalize everyone. Mansfield generalized everyone, and not even generalized, saying we're all the same, all of us. So when it's something she wants, it's okay to generalize. And also, it's false because these women are joining up and they're not looking to love. They're looking for a man to be their little servant boy who they will give nothing in return. If they wanted to love a man for what he was, there wouldn't be any, you have to be ambitious. There are unambitious men out there who are broke. That's who they are. So are they going to love them for who they really are? No, of course, it's bullshit. It's more gaslighting. Men are still spending obscene amounts of money to become pickup artists. Now, the only issue they have with that is that, well, for one thing, men already spend obscene amounts of money on dates, on women that give them nothing in return. So the only thing they have wrong with pickup artistry is that they're giving their obscene amount of money to other men and not to women. And also look at this, the woman's bored. So they're implying that the pickup artistry is a scam, which it is, But they're also showing you that women aren't interested in men as they are. This guy's showing who he is. He's talking with this woman, and she's like, who the hell are you? Women only interested in strange men if they have signals of status, or if they're actually within their social circles, which means they've been vetted by other women. And so the failure is that they're both the pickup artist, and these women are saying, look, dude, I do not love you for who you are. That's why I'm not interested in talking to you. You're nobody to me. Go get status. The biologically deterministic language teamed with the site-specific slang and relationship advice has also seen comparisons to the manosphere sites it was created to stand against. It wasn't created. This is another bunch of, this is where Vice is starting to say their lies. It wasn't created to fight against the manosphere. They don't care about them. It was created because they hate men. And the comparison is only skin deep, because the manosphere, if you're talking about pickup artistry, is to get men with intimate relationships with a woman, while the FDS is to rinse and abuse and exploit men. So there's no comparison. There are plenty of similarities. In the early days of online men's movement, pickup artists would share detailed strategies for attracting women. But pickup artists exist outside the men's rights movement. So this has nothing to do, again, with the MRM. This is them smearing the MRM. While also talking about them in a broad, stereotypical, dehumanizing ways. I'm sorry, but when the manosphere talks about women, they talk about them in a non-reverential way. But they're still, they don't get abusive like these FDS crowds. The FDS crowd, these women hate men. There's no comparison. Memes which feature regularly on FDS also help flagrantly proliferate hate speech and intolerant views. See, he says these pickup artists don't do that. And they're not all jammed up in the manosphere or into the men's rights movement. My first reaction to the FDS subreddit was, did red pill guys write this? See, they're attacking again this Vice article, or whoever it is, jokes Bharath Ganesh, an assistant professor of media studies. He's a male feminist at the University of Groningen or Gen, whatever they say it, and a research in digital hate culture. See, this guy, he's a male feminist, so he's trying to say that these red pill guys are just as bad, or actually worse than the FDS, and it's a total lie. You will not hear any of these red pill guys talk about like women like this, like the women are speaking to men about men, as well as putting men in the same essentialist categories as men's rights movements did with women. This again has nothing to do with the men's rights movement. The MRM is not about this. Ganesh says FDS also presents a lot of the same theories and ideas that you saw in the manosphere, particularly that the idea that men are scriptable and that we should adjust our lives and presentation to filter out the ones that they want and to get rid of the ones we don't want. Well, what's wrong with that? That's what a dating site's about, though. You're looking for Mr. Right, so you have to filter out men, right? So there's nothing wrong with that in particular. So the manosphere, I mean, this, like I said, dating sites for men are not the manosphere. He also points out that, like the FDS, much of the content of the manosphere is spawned from self-help genre. They started, look, take the pickup artistry of the game or the men's rights hero, Jordan Peterson's 12 Rules for Life. Jordan Peterson has never backed the men's rights movement ever. He's actually, he actually called MGTOW a bunch of losers. So this is a bold-faced lie. This Ganesh fella is telling a lie. Jordan Peterson wants men to join the hierarchy and chase after women and rule them. Scratch that last one. Rule them. Yeah, right. Now, they started as powering by hate speech. Let's see. As conspiracy theories began to circulate, the hate speech became more normalized. They descended into something darker. They're talking about the men's, right? That's a lie. None of this. Jordan Peterson had nothing to do with the MRM. They haven't gotten worse. Well, the FDS is still nowhere near as hateful. See, this is a bold-faced lie as the red pill movement. They are decades ahead. The red pill movement isn't even hateful. They at worst, they're resentful at the lies they've been fed from day one. Well, as the FDS, it really is hateful. So this Ganesh guy is a liar. I can say he's a liar. You will not hear the most vile stuff that the FDS says about men. You will not hear an equivalent in the red pill movement. It is misandrist, he says simply. Well, they finally admit it. It's about the reduction of people to ridiculous facile stereotypes. That said, he acknowledges that it's unlikely to ever become a serious threat. It is a threat. Women are going there that are maybe on the fence, and they're converting them into rinsers, and they're filling their heads right full of it. Also, these women are attracted to these sites because they feel that way to a certain degree anyway. Because I keep telling you, these feminists, they actually do speak for women. They're just more extreme. They're extreme that to the point there are some of them, the average women balks, but they're still speaking for them at the core. The problem with this kind of misandry presents as fully dwarfed by misogyny. Total lie again. Misogynists are very, very rare. Misandrists are a dime a dozen. Simply because the power of the patriarchy, see, that's a lie. He's a male feminist. Patriarchy is a lie. Men's rights activists and white supremacists have actual access to power structures. First of all, he's smearing the MRM by putting them in with white supremacists. They are two different groups. And if there's any white supremacists in the MRM, it's because the MRM doesn't screen them the way it should. But they don't have any access to power structures. They don't. The white supremacists are marginalized wherever they come around. Feminists are everywhere, and they rule. So this is bullshit, and it's a lie, and this is what you guys have to deal with, being lied at, too. Even if FDS is unlikely to develop to anything more concerning, it's still not going to help. Yeah, you know what? You see, it's not concerning to them because they're man haters too. But what they're saying is that these man haters are obvious about their man hatred, and that's how they're not helping. Either as a solution to women's dating woes or as a patriarchy smashing strategy. If it's about dating, then it has nothing to do with patriarchy, and patriarchy isn't real anyway. Playing games, trying to belittle and use men the way that perhaps women have been historically used. See, this is a total lie, total gaslighting. Women have never been used by men or historically ever, or alien. This is what women do to men, and they project it on to men. This could create deeper and more toxic rift between the sexes. Well, he's admitting there's a rift, and the rift is that the women don't want to deal with men and never did. It's just that in the past, they would rather deal with men than deal with the hard labor of the past. And now they can dump men, so they've done. So there is a rift. The men want to be with the women. It's the women who cause the rift. They don't want to be with the men. So, I mean, this is what you guys have to deal with. This is this article. And again, this is what Vice is about. Vice's problems with the female dating strategy is that their misandry is obvious. And they want to do the exact same thing to men that female dating strategy wants to as well. It's just that they know that you can attract more flies with honey than vinegar. And so these female dating strategies, they're giving a men a heads up about how they're viewed by the opposite sex. Remember, the average woman, so many of these average women look for these dating sites and they glom onto this. because to a certain degree, they do speak for the average woman. And Vice doesn't like that. So, guys, I mean, come to terms with what relationships actually are and just how much you're hated by the opposite sex. Goodbye.